of you may have noticed I've got more than one project kind of going on at the same time. There is a relationship between the two projects actually. The main one, of course, is indeed the Gilburn Invader, and the related project, because I'm trying to think about what alternator I need, the related project is this one over here, which is a Dutton Phaeton fitted with a Ford Zetec engine and a Sierra 5-speed Type 9 gearbox. Now this was put together about 5 years ago, but weirdly, recently we've noticed it's not charging. And of course, the reason I'm interested in the whole charging question is I don't know how big an alternator I really need in the Gilburn Invader. And it may be the case that we can use one of these so-called mini alternators, which is a Denso type, which I believe is fitted to a Kubota Digger or something, or Daihatsu Charade and a few things like that. It obviously is a lot smaller than the typical unit which is fitted to a lot of cars. So I think this one was, I don't know, I bought it as an experiment really. I think it may be from a Subaru or something. Anyway, so the whole question about how big does the alternator need to be is an important one. And it will be subject to testing. But the testing has to be done on a running engine. And of course the running engine is the Dutton. But the Dutton right now isn't charging. This is a whole weird thing in its own right. So that's what I'm experimenting with them at the moment. Now, one of the other things which I can show you is my improved lighting. I think you can probably see in there my new LED bendable floor mounted lamps, and also another one that's currently standing on top of the hood here, because being fiberglass I can't use magnets, so that's quite nice. But this this problem of why is the car not charging, which has been ongoing for months, since the summer actually, is a mystery, because clearly the car's been put together for a long time. It was working fine, and then we realised in the summer that it wasn't working fine anymore for no readily apparent reason. So I changed the alternator for another one of those mini type, and guess what? That didn't charge either. So that's the whole weirdness there. But that got me looking into the state of the wiring in the dashboard, which, as you can see, is a bit of a mess in there at the moment. That's the dashboard itself is not actually there. This is the wiring behind the dashboard. But I have been taking the opportunity to improve, you know, typical kind of kit car wiring. All these labels and things with writing on, they're all new. Replacing as they do the some paper labels that were there before. So yeah, a bit of general improvement, but the basic problem, why is the car not charging, still remains. So one of the things I'm doing at the moment, because oddly, the even when it was working absolutely fine, the battery light, the no charge light on the dashboard, hasn't been working, and that's a mystery as well. And of course the no charge light is linked to the activation of the alternator itself. You have to have a wire going to the back of the alternator connected to the no charge light, and that helps the alternator work. Now, one of the things I've discovered is that the wiring to that bulb light, bulb connection, wasn't actually connected. So obviously that won't have helped. Never had been connected actually since 5 years ago. So it doesn't really explain why it's not charging, because it was charging before and now it isn't. So it's all, as I say, it's all a bit of a mystery. So what I'm going to do right now, having done all this improved labelling and so on in there, and sorting out the non-connected bulb wire that I reconnected yesterday, and it still doesn't work. Even when it's connected up, it still doesn't work. What the hell's going on? So that's what I'm working on right now. Now, in this particular car, the instrument pack which I've got here is actually from a Citroen Saxo, which is a pretty old car now. Is the Citroen Saxo, I think, is basically the same as a Peugeot 106. I guess we're talking about a car that's 15 or so years old. But nevertheless, it's got a very nice compact instrument pack. That's the whole thing. You know, it's a fully solid state device with I quite like it. Fits into a dashboard, which is not in the car at the moment, but it does that quite neatly. And these are the connectors on the back where everything goes, including the tacho and the speedo, which is electronic, and so on and so on. And one of the things that you can see here, if you look carefully, is a big resistor. Now, why is that there? That's there because, as I've mentioned, the so-called bulb wire or battery warning light wire going to the alternator requires a heavy load, well, medium load, such as would be provided by an incandescent bulb. But of course, this being relatively new, it's all LEDs. Now, the LEDs don't take enough power to do the job of a bulb, so that's why they put in parallel with the LED a big resistor to kind of be the bulb, if you like. And that's the function of it. And the relevant connector on this yellow thing, the pin for this thing, was previously not wired up at all, but now it is. And yet the dash light, which I've checked, is in here, which shows a battery, isn't working. And why the heck is that? So that's what I'm experimenting with now. So what I'm going to do, I think, is to reconnect this instrument pack back into the dash area and see if I can connect the relevant lamp in here to the wires directly at the alternator. There's two of them. One is the battery feed from the fuse box, and the other one comes from the ignition switch. And when only one is switched on, the bulb is supposed to light up. And when they're both switched on, the engine's running, then the battery light goes out. That's the principle. And I can see, you won't be able to see that, but I can see just by holding up to the light that the battery light is actually a picture of a car battery, and it's just here, just to the left of the left-hand indicator light. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to connect up the battery, the instrument pack to the wiring, and connect it at the back of the alternator. So see how that goes. So I'm going to connect up the two simple connectors. That's one of the beauties of this system, actually, is it's a doddle to connect up these electrical connectors. There we are, done. And I can connect up or switch on the ignition, which I'll have to do over here. So I've got a battery isolator switch, which I'll put on, and I've also got this. This being a battery outside of the car. I won't go into explaining exactly why that is for now, but there it is anyway. So if I move you over a bit, if I switch on the ignition, so you can see hear the fuel pump fire up. As you can see, I think there should be a battery warning light just here, but there isn't. So that's the problem for now. And I think what's required is to connect the thing via some kind of external power supply. I'll disconnect the alternator and connect something to the power supply, and that will bring the LED, I hope, into circuit and make it work. This is going to be a bit of a fiddle. Over here I think you can see in the distance a couple of wires ready to connect to the battery, which I shall do in a second. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect that yellow and the green wire that you can see there in the distance to battery and chassis, and one way round, hopefully a light on here should come on. So I'm going to lower you down so you can see whether that light which is just here, I think, whether that actually comes on when I connect over there with the two wires which are connected to the back of the well, they would be, actually they're disconnected at the minute, but they would be connected to the back of the alternator. So let's see what happens. I'm going to connect the yellow one to earth, and the green one, because it just happens to be more convenient that way around, the green one I'm going to connect to the live side of the battery and hope there's no massive sparks here. So what happens if I do that? Ah! Well, well, well! I've actually managed to get it right first time. We actually have a battery light, and that, I can tell you, is the first time that particular warning light has been seen on this car. So what it shows is there's certainly nothing wrong with the dashboard lights, so that's a good thing, and that's what I need to behave properly, if you like, when actually in use on the alternator itself. So, because it's a diode, obviously, well, perhaps I should check this. Presumably, being a diode, it only works one way round. Also, presumably, I'm going to check this, because we've got this big resistor, which I mentioned before. I'm going to see if there's any sign of it getting warm. Yes, there is. It's actually quite hot. So that's where the resistor does the job of being a pretend incandescent bulb. But anyway, I will try it the other way around, and I'm going to guess that the light won't come on. But let's have a check on that. So I'm going to reverse the wiring. So I'll put the green one onto the chassis. And the yellow one onto the live. Now I can't see from here, maybe you can. Aha, and indeed we have no battery light. So I'll swap that around again. It's all diodes, of course, being one-way light bulbs, if you like. And there we have it. The battery warning light is indeed working. Well, as an experiment, that's quite valid. I think the next stage is probably to do the earthing not through the chassis as it is at the minute, but actually through the alternator itself, and see if that works. But I'm guessing that's going to have to wait until after I've been out with Mrs. Pegwood. So anyway, I'll catch you later. Right, I'm back. So where were we? We had a working set of dashboard lights down there, especially this one, the battery warning light. That's the one I'm after, but it is wired up direct to the battery via these dangly wires, which obviously isn't how it should be. So, as I probably mentioned, the next step is to see if I can get the earth side, which is actually over there anyway, to operate earthed via the alternator. which is how it should work in real life, as it were. So I'm going to move you over here a bit. That's what, well, I don't know, actually, maybe keep both sides, the dashboard light and what I'm doing, in view at the same time. Okay, so here I have the wire that is earth, so I'm going to disconnect that, and presumably the light's going to go out. I also have the plug that goes into the back of the alternator itself, and at least one of these should provide an earth through the alternator as it's not going round.